Hey, what is going on, you hardcore camera geeks? It is Sam, and we are back today. And today I'm going to show you guys a video that I did in December, actually, December 2019. And I pretty much had it done. All of a sudden I got this new job, which was killing me a little bit. And then I got this really bad cold, which now when I look back at it, I thought it might have been coronavirus, but who knows. But anyway, I'm still here. I hope you guys are still here too. One thing that this virus loves more than anything else is to catch the vulnerable. So I hope you guys are staying safe. Are they easing restrictions in your state? If so, I think it's a good thing, but at the same time, you know, you got to be cautious, man. You know, but I know you guys are tired of being cooped up at home and staying indoors, and I get it, you know, I get it. So I feel the same way. But you know what though, one thing you can do to keep yourself protected: wear a mask. And you can even make it an artistic statement if you want. You know, I honestly believe that's probably the reason why the transmissions have gone down, because a lot of people are wearing masks. Well, at least where I am anyway. So wear a mask, go out there and have a little fun. Now, you know, I got to say one last thing. The coronavirus has got me really thinking of a lot of things, you know, life and death, my own mortality, things like that. Also made me, I hate to say it, but to question God. It's like the other night I saw this guy on television real late at night. It was like, God doesn't cause us to measure up and then choose us. God takes the inadequate areas of life and makes us something worthwhile. I forgot who that guy was. Who is this guy, man? What makes him think that he knows God better than anybody else? And I don't mean that because, you know, I don't mean the fact that he's a religious scholar or anything like that. I'm saying that, you know, as far as I know, he didn't die and see God. And, you know, none of us has seen God. So, who does he think he is? Or maybe he might say, oh, who do you think you are? Anyway. So today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite cameras. I actually bought this camera in 1996 or 97, but it definitely was one of my prized cameras in 1999, and that camera is the Contax T, the original Contax T. I really love this thing so much, and you know, to get an idea of how far we've come, you got to understand, when I got this camera, film was still the ruler of the day. There were some digital cameras, but they were so lame as to be pretty much useless. So I carry this baby with me everywhere. Put it in my pocket, carried it like what I do with an iPhone these days. And so you got to look back at it from that perspective. It was a shooter. It was a camera that I used to shoot everything, you know, not just trying to take artistic shots, but everything. So I got the camera from an ad in one of these magazines. This is the old Shutterbug. And I'm sure some of you guys remember this, but, you know, don't you kind of miss these huge, big-ass magazines? Anyway, they always say things were better in the good old days, and I do love the Shutterbug, but I will have to say that today's world of reading on the internet, I believe, is actually much better for some things like magazines, because we're saving paper, we're saving the environment, right? Anyway, let's get to the video, and then I will catch you guys afterwards. And today we are going to take up where we left off with a true camera legend, and quite possibly the camera that started the luxury point and shoot revolution, and that camera is none other than the venerable Contax T. And in the interest of saving time, as I mentioned in the last video, let's delve right into some of the features and operations of the Contax T. Alright, you guys, well, next up from my gear bag, of 1999 is the venerable Contax T, and I suspect that this camera right here is probably the camera that probably more of you guys are interested in than the F100. And this is my actual Contax T, which I bought around 1996, I would say. But anyway, so I got it and I was very excited to use it. Today I want to show you guys a little bit of the workings of this camera. So right here you can see it's very small and compact, and you don't see the lens right now because this is a clamshell design. So to see the lens, to actually use the camera, you got to pull this down right here, and there is the beautiful, beautiful Carl Zeiss 38mm f2.8 T-Star sonar lens. And basically this is the lens that started it all, folks. So the Contax T was introduced by Kyocera in 1984, made by Yashica, of course. Now so let's take a look at some of the other functions right here on the top. Now, as I said, I've had this there's a little lock down here, and if you unlock it, then you can pull the bottom part of it off and you'll put your film in there. So as always, be very careful. I don't have a roll of film to put in for you right now, but make sure that the teeth are actually moving, then put it back in. And also, the Contax T runs on 2 of these little MS-76 batteries that a lot of these old school cameras use, kind of like the hearing aid batteries, which you can get pretty cheaply, and they usually last a long time. But what I've noticed is on my particular Contax T, if it's sitting for a while, they tend to go flat, so keep that in mind. Alright, so what do I think of the optical quality? Well, as I said before, the lens on this camera is pretty much the same lens that they used on the Contax T2, with the exception of the fact that this is manual focus and the T2 is autofocus. So if you know anything about that camera, then the same could be said for this camera, which is the optical quality is excellent. It can even be superb, or it could be lame. It really, it's up to you, the photographer, but just know that it's capable of superb results. All right, and the lens is very sharp, and for the most part it takes great pictures as long as you're getting the focus right and the exposure correctly. Potential issues with this camera, of course, as I said, this camera was released in 1984, so being on the market that long, there's always a possibility of something going wrong, especially because this camera also relies on batteries for everything, so you have to keep that in mind. Now, the good thing that probably makes it a little bit more reliable than the Contax T2 or some of the other T-series cameras is the fact that since it's manual focus and manual wind and manual rewind, that takes a lot of the pressure away from the camera to do more work, more electronic work. So I think that actually keeps it a little bit more reliable than some of the electronic Contaxes that came afterwards. But that said, first thing you want to see is, and I don't know if any of you noticed, but the first thing that you'll see is when you look at this camera, there used to be a grip right here, and that's long gone. But that's purely cosmetic, so I'm not really faulting the camera. I mean, Nikon cameras also have a lot of grips that fall off, and this one, since it was glued on, it's an easy fall off. Another thing that has happened over the years, and you might want to keep an eye on this, is that over here, there used to be a little screw right here, and after prolonged usage, it pretty much just fell off. So I had replaced it with another screw, but that fell off too. So keep that in mind, because it actually plays on the integrity of the camera body. So that's something you want to watch out for. But again, these are all things that, you know, these are nothing critical, to be honest with you, okay? But the one thing that might be critical is that as these cameras age, the shutter, as far as I could see from 2 samples that I had, the shutter begins to become sort of unpredictable, erratic maybe you might say. And what I mean by that is all of a sudden it starts shooting and it starts sounding like it's really weak or something. So when it first happened to me, I thought it was maybe the batteries, so I changed the batteries. But I was able to repeat this again. Alright, so I guess you guys are tired of seeing me yakking for the past 10 minutes, so I think we're going to call it a day. So thank you guys so much for watching. And you know, the Contax T, is it worth it? I think so. I mean, you know, if you really want a camera like that, like the Contax T2, you can get pretty much the same image quality, same lens, for a lot cheaper. Of course, you don't have any autofocus, but you have actually more control of the focus, and I actually enjoy using that little rangefinder on the Contax T. So if you really want a camera like that, you know, for $400 to $600, I say go for it. But on the other hand, you have so many choices these days, and I mean, if you have so many choices these days, you don't really have to go with the Contax T. But if you want something in that lineage, definitely check out the Contax T. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. So yes, 1999 was a great photographic year for me. But you know what? We are not living in 1999 anymore. We are living in 2020. And despite what we have gone through this year, we're going to make it a great year. We're going to make it a better year. So keep an eye on the channel. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe for new videos. And I will catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com. Oh, what the? This YouTube channel.
Cameralegend.com